YouTube? It's your homie S. Akuma coming back at you with another video. And today in this video is just a quick report, tournament report for my case tournament back on May 18th. So not this past Saturday, but the Saturday prior at Top Deck Games in Collinswood, New Jersey for our case tournament. There were 14 players at that event. Unfortunately, they're getting a little lower and lower every time. Hopefully, or maybe I understand people are just busy or whatever the case is, but hopefully the next one can get more people to show up. Wave 3 should definitely resurge people's interest in the game again, and kind of keep people on above water, head above water with the game, and as it continues to grow. Pre-event, I will say that despite me knowing, Sentinels had a target on its back, being that they've done well at the past couple of events, I still decided to play it anyway, but I was also aware that I would possibly run into more Insecticons, and that's exactly what happened, and you'll hear about that in a second when I get to my tournament report. I even I went as far as to notice that 3 or 4 people were playing Insecticons prior to the tournament, and I had every chance to switch to aerial bots, for that advantage pre-tournament, but I decided not to and stick with Sentinels anyway and just get more practice against the Insecticon deck, despite the bad matchup. Now, being that there were only 14 players, I think in total there were about 5 Insecticons, so a third of the field were, Insecticons. So inevitably they kind of ran into each other and beat each other up. And then inevitably I also, not inevitably, but it was a very high chance for me to play more than one in Swiss, and that's exactly what happened. So with that being said, without further ado, I'll just get into my matchups and what I played against and how I felt about the event. Okay, so round 1 I played against Metroplex. Forgot the guy's name, but he's a very cool guy. Shout out to him. If you're watching this, shout out to you, man. Real cool dude. He was chill throughout the entire match. Going into this match, it's not necessarily the most favorable, but just like the Insecticon matchup, it's highly dependent on the dice roll and who goes first. I can't stand metas like this, and there's really a meta where that doesn't matter. So a lot of things just have to go right for you throughout the entire day in a tournament. Something I want to mention, just kind of like a side note for you to remember. I had a friend back in Yu-Gi-Oh! That won about 8 events. He won 8 events, including nationals for Yu-Gi-Oh! And these are all 8 big events. So you could say he has 8 rings. And something that he told me, I don't know if you mentioned on the camera, he told me specifically, or I forgot exactly how it went. But I'll never forget that he told me, a lot of these tournaments that he won, some things just went right for him in general. He made the correct plays every, turn and did what he was supposed to do. And then some of these tournaments, he literally won just simply off of capitalizing off his opponent's misplay. If his opponent didn't misplay, there's a possibility he wouldn't have won his top 32 match to go to top 16. He wouldn't have won his top 8 match to go to top 4. One crucial misplay or whatever the case is, as long as he was able to capitalize on it, that's what catapulted him to win those 8 championships. And that's a big deal to think about, especially with this game. One wrong move can just lose you the entire game. You can do everything right up to a point, and all it takes is that one wrong move. And I kind of like that about this game because it really makes you think about your plays and, who's tapped, who's not tapped, how much damage are on your cards, who you should send in that's damaged, or, whatever the case is, and, so many other factors. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're discouraged, if you've, not had as much success in the past in your tournaments or whatever the case is keep in mind and pay attention to, not just your plays, but your opponent's plays. And if they mess up, that's a possibility for you to jump back in the game and take advantage of that. Now, that has nothing to do necessarily with this match, but I'm just saying that in general, just a side note that I wanted to mention because I've been meaning to talk about that. But anyway, so round 1 I played against Metroplex. Like I said, cool guy. I ended up winning the dice roll, so I ended up going first. Or I have him go first. The thing about this matchup is my bots are all in the mode they want to be in, bold, and prime really is, whatever. But the fact that they're in the mode they want to be in when they attack was very crucial. Like versus Insecticons, if Insecticons make them go first, they can only flip kickback or barrage and, get one of their big attackers to get a lot of damage on the Metroplex. Otherwise, so it was very good for me to have him go first. I got about 17 or so damage on him on the first attack. I got just about half health or a little bit over, and that was a big hit to him. And I think he did flip to bot mode and try to get in there on my Prowler, on my Prime, and go from there. So that one defense mattered a lot when I, rushed him down with my characters plus whatever action or upgrade I used for the turn. He did have a play throughout the game where he had used rollout or some sort of flip effect in order to get his Slammer. But when he got his Slammer, I had One Shot Stand, One Shot Fall. A card I added after having to deal with this deck in the first or second tournament that I played Sentinels. Adding that direct damage helped a lot to just get rid of the Slammer and then go after Metroplex again and get more pressure on the Metroplex for him to do something before the game is over. Now, game two went well for the most part for me as the Sentinel player throughout most of the game. And like, I can't remember exactly when, but towards the end of the game, I think he had enough flip effects to keep flipping and hiding his Metroplex until the opportune time to use it with backup beam and, you know, whatever else he had in order to, I don't think he really necessarily hit the effect that much. He might hit it once, but he was able to play well enough to, you know, have his Metroplex obviously live to push it to game three. And I just lost out on resources. I don't think my hand was that great to try to control his hand. And he had backup being just the things he needed to push it to game three. And in game three, it was much of the same thing as game one. I had him go first again. He flipped Metroplex and attacked into my prime. He didn't trigger the effect. So I sent all my guys in and got just about over half health again on his Metroplex. So, and then when he got the Slammer out again, I also had the one-shot stand again to use on the Slammer to get in on the Metroplex again and eventually seal the deal. It did come down to being pretty close. You know, this game is definitely these games are usually always close. So, but I ended up clinching it because I got that early lead on, that early heavy damage on Metroplex, so it worked out. All right, so round two, I played against Insecticons, of course, being my most unfavorable matchup. I think I actually won the dice roll, and I went to try to send in Prowl to go kill his kickback, but I missed horribly and, flipped pretty low, and thus he was able to flip his kickback and get some value out of it before I killed it with direct damage, thus him not being able to get an attack with it, and I think he KO'd my Prowl. And then at that point, I was kind of down and out because if I miss with the Prowl attack, and I don't have direct damage to kill it so I can go after Barrage, Ransack, or Scrapnel and try to KO it as well, I'm very far behind. Because what happened was I attacked with Prowl, missed horribly on the kickback, not even in range for Hot Rod to flip and kill it. Or, you know, even that in Slingshot if I had it, but I don't think I did or anything like that. And, yeah, him sending in the kickback, KOing my Prowl, and then I had to send in my Optimus to waste an attack on the kickback. Now he was able to start the game kind of like normal from the beginning and flip Scrapnel and send Scrapnel into my prime. And then I have to send Ironhide into his Scrapnel, who only takes 3. And, you know, that's a big wasted attack because Ironhide, of course, you know, is one of your big attackers. And then at that point, Barrage and Ransack get 2 attacks on my prime and Ironhide, and I'm just too far behind. So I kind of lost the game from the beginning. You know, same if I would have KO'd his kickback. There's a very high chance that I would win the game if I can steal his kickback attack. So then game 2, I decided to go first again, and then even worse, this time I remember opening Improvised Shield and Piece of Tyranny, so my chances were even lower of possibly trying to hit 9. 9 or 10 is the magic number. If you can hit 9, then yes, they get an attack with kickback, but then you can easily flip the Hot Rod, kill the kickback, and then go after probably Scrapnel, because he's the next easiest target to KO. Or possibly Ransack too, but you want to get rid of the Scrapnel so they don't get to set him, and you know you have to dig 2 attacks into him. So I don't even decide to flip or go in with the Prowl because, you know, my chances are even lower with all my 2 of my double oranges in my hand. So I wasn't confident about that attack. And I go in with Prime like normal, Prime in on the Scrapnel to try to lessen its, ability to be able to absorb multiple attacks. And then throughout the game, I think I just was able to control the game enough and have him not do as much on his turns in terms of actions and upgrades, and ended up sealing the deal for that. And then game 3, honestly, you can skip all the way to the end. Game 3 ended up coming down to me having 3 cards left in my deck, and it was his Scrapnel versus my Ironhide, and I needed to flip a blue and in order to live and then kill his Scrapnel the next turn. And of course, the bottom card, my last card, was the blue. So I flipped like a orange and a double orange, and I ended up losing. I needed that blue at the bottom of the deck. So game came down to the wire, even despite him going first. So again, direct damage helps a lot with that. So even though this matchup is bad, you know, I think it's just like with double primes from last format. Double prime, you didn't necessarily have a great matchup against bugs, but it was 2 things. You know, if you got an armor to stick, you could win. If you had direct damage to kill 2 bots in 1 turn, you would win. So direct damage is a big deal. And of course, again, that's one of the Insecticon's weaknesses. So that helps out a lot, you know, with Slingshot. And that's one of the main reason why I'm still playing Slingshot. I would possibly play other cards, stronger cards like a 3rd Static Laser, or, I would add other, more powerful boost attack boosters You know, if it was more one-on-one type battles. But this, with the Insecticons, you got to try to kill 2 in one turn. You got to be careful in a turn where you're tapped out and, you know, they possibly have I Still Function. Like, if you can kill their kickback on a turn, but you'll be tapped out, I wouldn't kill their kickback, because if you kill it and then they have I Still Function, they just bring it right back. You know what I mean? But at least when the kickback is tapped and you attack it, you get it close to death, and then, you know, your next turn, hopefully burn it with direct damage, and then also go attack another character. That's the idea. It doesn't always work out like that, so it's very hand dependent, but yeah. All right, and then round 3, again, I played against the Insecticons. This time he won the dice roll, and he did the normal. He flipped Scrapnel, and he attacked into my Prime. He said he watched my videos, and he took heed to what I was saying about my Prime being like his Scrapnel, so he took advantage of that, and good for him. You know, and his Scrapnel sent into my Prime, which then my Prowler Ironhide, the reason why I have to send in Primes, because Prowler Ironhide have that bold 1, and no matter what I do, I can have 25 attack, and Scrapnel's only going to take 3. So, you know, he did that, attacked into my Prime. I had to send my Prime in, and the goal for him, being an Insecticon player, was to only have to put 2 attacks into my Optimus. And I think that's what ended up happening. In the end, I think he, on another turn, he flipped kickback and sent kickback in to make sure that he only had to deal with Optimus twice through Scrapnel and the kickback. So he ended up winning game 1 relatively normally, how the matchup, you know, goes in terms of in favor for Insecticons. And then game 2, I went for the normal Prowl go after kickback play. I got the kickback possibly, I think, to like 2 damage left on it. And he drew for his turn, did whatever, but he flipped Scrapnel and sent Scrapnel in again on my Prowl. And him doing that gave me a chance to still kill the kickback on my turn. And I think I had Slingshot and Hot Rod to kill the kickback and steal the attack totally. So I think that put him far behind by losing him one of his, not far behind, but I put him behind pretty rough, you know, losing one of his strongest attackers like that. And I think that move solely is what won me the game. Now, even in that same situation, I think, you know, for the Insecticon player, it was the, shout out there, I forgot his name as well. I'm so bad with names. I should have wrote down the names when I wrote my tournament report. Forgive me, if you guys, like I said, if you guys are watching this video, I appreciate y'all and the support. But let's say he did flip the kickback with 2 damage left, and he sent the kickback into my Prowl, possibly KO my Prowl. That's fine, because I still have the Slingshot and the Hot Rod. So the Hot Rod and Slingshot still kill the kickback. And then now the field looks like this. And then now I can get an attack on any one of his characters. Of course, mentioning the cards I mentioned, Slingshot and Hot Rod means I only have an action left for my turn. So ideally, I'd probably put the Slingshot on the Ironhide and also give him press the advantage and target down his Scrapnel, because that's the next easiest, most ideal target to attack. Ransack also has 10 health too, you know, 10 health in terms of 8 health and 2 defense, and then Scrapnel having 7 health and 3 defense. Barrage is definitely not likely to kill with a 5 bold 1 with press the advantage. So Barrage is usually saved for last, unfortunately, because of his high health pool. And so yeah, I target down Insecticon Scrapnel with press the advantage. That's the ideal. So he'll be at 7 bold 1. With the bold, the math comes out to hopefully at least flipping 2, maybe 3. That's what you want. The magic number is to hit 10, and then KO the Scrapnel as well. And then now it's looking like Scrapnel and, excuse me, Barrage and Ransack versus my Ironhide and Prime. So that's the idea when I go first, is to hopefully have direct damage, one shot stand or whatever, get at least 8, 9, or 10 on the Barrage, on the kickback, and then you know, it's really just hand dependent at that point. It depends on, so so many things have to go right with Sentinels. I have to hit a certain number, and I also have to have direct damage in my hand. But I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. It is what it is, you know, and just hopefully that works out like that for me. So then yeah, so game 2 that ended up happening, or I ended up taking advantage of the kickback. And game 3 was more honestly just normal plays. I think he ended up having 2 bots to my 1, and I just wasn't able to control the board how I wanted to based off my hand, and he ended up winning with some strong action and upgrade plays, and was able to KO my bots within due time, and that was it for that round. So at this point, I'm 1-2, not looking like I'm going to top this tournament unless they cut the top 8, and I think they mentioned earlier they were only cutting the top 4, so I wasn't bummed about it. I kind of expected this, you know, and I wasn't really tripping. It's all good. All right, then my final round 4, I ended up playing against Vin from Vector Sigma. Shout out to him. He's a really great guy. He does his Tech Talk videos with him and Scott, and they talk about you know, the metagame, and they talk about cars that are coming out and things like that, and what are their, you know, their opinions on them. I catch those when I can, very informal, to kind of see if things I was thinking about, they were, you know, on the same board, or they, excuse me, they were on board with that as well, or just where the thought process is with the next set coming up. So shout out to Vin, real cool guy, one of my favorite guys that I like in this game right now. And he was playing the 3-watt Optimus deck. So this version of the deck is pretty much the same deck like from last format. It's Battlefield Legend, Flame War, and it was Optimus, the 7-star Optimus from the starter deck. But this time around, you trade a 7-star Optimus for Autobot Hot Rod. He has Tough 1, and just starting out the game, you can flip Flame War, and then all of a sudden your Hot Rod has Tough 2. You send him in, and he's definitely not dying on the very first turn. I think it's a very, very small chance that he will be KO'd on the first turn, being how strong he is and how sturdy he is. He has 10 health, 2 defense. He's ranged in both modes, so you can play marksmanship because, you know, Optimus is also ranged. And then when he does finally get KO'd, he has that last, you know, breath in him, and he shoots somebody for that 1 damage while in the KO area. So very relevant, very solid deck. I like it. Although it's kind of sad to see Optimus not, you know, higher in the meta like he was last format, but of course, rightfully so. You know, there's a lot of other new cards out. People want to try new things, and it doesn't. Also, this deck really doesn't have a good aerial bot matchup at all, because if I want to say it's about a 95.5% chance, you know, 95.5 in terms of Autobot's favor, because aerial bot's favor, because once aerial bots kill the Optimus, there's no way Hot Rod and Flame War are going to be able to deal with Superion. But that's another story for another time, but I just want to kind of, you know, touch on that for a second. But anyway, so in this round, I think game 1, from what I remember, is won through pressuring his armors and getting rid of his armors and making hits where it counted. Pressed the advantage when I was able to attack on the Flame War to, you know, have Flame War not live longer like she normally does. You know, having her lose 2 defense and buffing on one of my guys is very strong. So when I was able to tag down her and get rid of her, so that static Tough 1 could I can get rid of it, I did. And you know, when I was able to get at Optimus, I definitely try to put as much damage on him as possible and ended up sealing the deal. And then game 3, only thing I can really remember from game 2 was that at one point his Hot Rod, I got his Hot Rod to 7 damage, and that's the magic number for one shot stay and one shot fall. And then when all of our bots stood, I remember him sending in his Hot Rod to one of my guys, and then I had one shot stand to get rid of it, and then also attack on his Optimus. And then when I attacked on his Optimus, I think he flipped a blank, a sparring gear, and a blue to my guy having grenade launch. You know, I think my Ironhide had grenade launcher or something to that effect, and I was able to KO the Optimus as well. So it was a surprising turn of events. I honestly didn't. I mean, the Optimus didn't have armor on it at that point in the game, but I just didn't expect to. I wasn't going necessarily for a kill. You know, I just wanted to get more damage on Optimus. I thought he possibly, you know, he would live, but I ended up KOing the Hot Rod with direct damage, and then killing the Optimus with Ironhide and grenade or static laser or whatever I had, and was able to get the Prime out of there. Then it was just Flame War versus 2 of my bots. I think it was Ironhide and Prime, and I was able to win the game just through the fact that, you know, 2 versus 1, and he didn't have the direct damage, so I was able to take the game, I think, the next turn with another press the advantage or something to that effect. So that's it for my tournament report, and so I ended up going 2-2 on the day. I didn't make top 4. They only cut the top 8, and then top 4 played it out, and the winner ended up being Scott with aerial bots. So I think he went undefeated as well. He didn't lose at all that day. And I think his top 4 was like all favored matchups too. It was Insecticons, and then it was, you know, the 3-watt Optimus. So it was kind of just shoe-in for him to take the event. So good for him. With that being said, the state of the metagame is kind of hard to say right now, especially with the numbers getting lower. You know, we went from 21 to 18 to 18 to 14. So it's kind of hard to say where the metagame could go at this point. Well, I don't want to say kind of hard. My educated guess for me would be that area bots will kind of possibly resurface because Sentinels have died down because Insecticons have risen, if that makes sense. Area bots rise again because the Sentinels have fallen and because Insecticons have risen again, which means technically Sentinels would probably be a smart deck, or excuse me, a valid choice to play at the event coming up this weekend at the comic book store in Glassboro, New Jersey, Wrecking Rules home store. It might be a good idea to possibly play Sentinels again, because if area bots are going to surface based off of this last tournament and area bots going undefeated, Sentinels have a good matchup against area bots. So, you know, it could kind of flip possibly like that and shift, and then again, maybe not. You know, Insecticons might just stay out anyway. But I don't know, might scare some of those Insecticon players away, and plus the people that didn't come and that noticed the tournament results. And so we'll see. With that being said, I wasn't able to, that's another thing. I wasn't able to get any tournament footage for the event. Vector Sigma has exclusive footage content for the event now, so meaning they're the only ones that are able to record at events at Top Deck Games now. So I will only be able to get, game footage at, oh, there's my kid. Get game footage at, our events over here at the Adventures Guild in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, or the comic book store. I'll make sure it's okay to record over there. And then the other spot over in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, when they have those events. So I will get it in when I can. Other than that, I realize I haven't been posting a lot of videos lately. I apologize about that. But then at the same time, I do want to say, and probably something I should have made known in the beginning, my channel wasn't here to necessarily post every day or every other day. I do want to try to get 2 or 3 videos a week when I can. Otherwise, just bear with me and stay with me. I will definitely, try to get content when I can. Very busy with my son now, and so things change a little bit. My girlfriend, she's been a very, very great mother with that. So it's kind of hard to get videos in with her because she wants to play, but we kind of can't because, again, we have a newborn. So one day we'll get it back going. And I also got a shout out for Mike Wads and his team, Sum 41. They have their upcoming Transformers TCG channel, and they're posting videos left and right every couple of days, or excuse me, every other day at least. And I have a couple of games on their channel as well. You can go check out. I play a couple of my other decks and things like that. I will probably collab with him and get some other games on my channel on when I can go on Sundays, and at least get some type of exhibition matches for the channel and go from there. So with that being said, I don't think there's anything else to say except for be expecting hopefully some tournament footage from the event in Glassboro for the event there. Now, this isn't a case event. This is a San Diego Comic-Con sealed pack event. So that's the pack with All Out Attacks, Tandem Targeting System, Cliff Jumper, and Slipstream, all sealed. So first place gets that. Second place gets a box of the whatever set, I'm assuming, of Transformers. Third and fourth get 16 packs or something like that, and then 5th through 8th gets less than that. So hopefully it's based off attendance, because I feel like this is going to be a pretty big event, probably our biggest Transformers event we've had in a long while, if not the biggest, just because the first place prize is so big and prestigious. So it'll be nice to go there and see all the competitive heads there, and go head to head and play some good old Transformers. All right, guys, I thank you guys for being here with me through my videos, and thanks for all the support, all my subscribers. I have to go back and count my subscribers, because most of my subscribers, as you guys know or should know, are from Yu-Gi-Oh! The 24-ish hundred that I had are mostly from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I appreciate all them throughout time being. So I know, like, my subscribers go up and down and they fluctuate, and I think a lot of that is from them. Don't blame them. Why be on my channel anymore if you don't see any Yu-Gi-Oh content? But either way, no matter who it is, it's kind of hard to fluctuate and tell exactly how many I have. But I think I'm coming up on 100 subscribers, so I might hit my first 100 subscribers here soon. Very excited for that, and I will be bringing you guys more content soon. Hang in there with me. Be looking forward to Wave 3 and gameplay with that. Side note, I really like Firecons. I really like the new Optimus. I can literally play double prime now. So, this Optimus and then the other Optimus, and go from there. So with that being said, I'm going to stop jibber jabbing and get up out of here and go to bed here soon. I will talk to you guys later. You guys have a great week. This is S. Akuma signing out.